Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about veterans and condo ownership in the Chicagoland area. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, David. This is Paul Ochmanek with Coldwell Banker. For the first 14 years of my legal profession, I represented condo associations as well as people buying and selling their properties. And then recently, as of last year, I transitioned into being a realtor to better serve my clients.
That's awesome. And have you found that having that experience, being a real estate attorney, transitioning to the real estate side has helped you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a recovering attorney, if you will,
Yeah.
where I still have the legal knowledge and I know how buildings should run, how boards should operate properly. And then I know those questions that realtors should be asking at least when you're going around looking at listings at open houses, what to ask the listing agent, the boards, if they're self-managed to better protect and avoid any surprises for your client.
Oh, 100%. And I'll give you guys a background about myself. So, David Piatek, Vice President at the Federal Savings Bank. I'm also an instructor for the National Association of Realtors, teaching the Military Relocation Professional Certification nationally. So, I teach realtors how to work with military members, along with doing seminars for the military across the country. And so, Paul, to your point, it's different if you're buying a single family home, right? It's pretty simple. You qualify, and then you're buying a property. You get a home inspection. They tell you a million things are wrong with it. Most of the time, it's fine. That's their job. When you're buying a condo, it's different. It's not only do you qualify, and you have to make sure that you financially want to purchase the property, but is the condominium financially viable?
Sure. Well, like you said, if they're buying a single family home, single family residence, it's just a matter of placing the offer, working with the listing agent and the seller to come to terms. But when they're buying a condominium, there's sometimes a misconception as to what the loan product is. There's a stigma that this is a inferior loan or the buyer's not really credit worthy or qualified because they're not putting down any money, if anything, maybe $1,000, which then leads to sometimes our deals get denied and offers get refused. So regardless of what their credit is and whether they're ready to close, it's just a matter of selling agents and the sellers not understanding what the product is, which then almost prejudices our clients sometimes.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I come across that all the time where people are like, well, why aren't they putting any money down? And maybe in areas where there's a ton of military, then it's whatever, right? People understand the loan products. But in, like I say, in Chicagoland, there's just not that many. But even though there's almost 800,000 veterans in Illinois and about 400,000 of them are in the Chicagoland area. But yeah, a lot of our first-time home buyers are coming in buying pretty expensive condominiums or single-family homes in the 600 plus range, and they're leveraging the VA home loan, right? Especially with this year, as of January 1st, there is no cap to the VA loan. So if you want to buy a $2 million home, no money down. So why wouldn't you leverage capital? And where rates are crazy low right now, why wouldn't you leverage that, right? It's a smart business decision. The issue for veterans is that not a lot of condos are VA approved.
Yeah, I mean, people might want to be in a certain neighborhood to qualify for school or taxes or whatever the situation is, and having the combined legal background knowledge combined with the realtor experience, we ask these questions from the seller or the listing agent up front. We'll find out in a half a day or, maybe a day or two, everything we need to know, that we were not wasting 2, 3, 4 weeks getting these documents from the management company or the board.
I also hear a lot of veterans that might come to us and say, hey, I worked with a certain lender. They submitted the documents and the condo got denied VA approval.
So the good thing to help our prospective buyers out is that after looking at the declaration and coming to terms with the seller, we would draft the amendment, carving out those items that the VA doesn't like or adding language that the VA does want to see in there as a courtesy for our client. No need to incur additional attorney's fees. We have the documents. We can read the declaration, remove paragraph 14, insert new language. That's only the first step. The second part is the challenge here. Depending on the declaration, I've seen anywhere from 66% needing approval to pass an amendment up to 75, 80%. So now I have to go convince 66 to 75% of the unit owners this is a good thing. In a smaller building, 4, 5, 10 units, I have to convince 5, 6, 7 people, not a problem. When you have buildings that we've worked with that are 100, 200 in size, now we're trying to convince 160, 170 people. That's a big difference right there.
Oh, it's huge. We've done it. I mean, we had we had one that took a year, but we did it. Client wanted to live in the building, and we did it. So this is right. It's the same thing on my end, right? I'm talking with board members, emailing back and forth. They have a lot of questions around it. But just remember, all this does is open up your building to be more marketable, right? Because once it's VA approved, I mean, just imagine all the folks that we've helped that have nothing but issues with these condominiums, and they're able to solve that by working with us. And now they're able to also sell their building to other veterans. That happens all the time because they market it that it's VA approved now. So it's great for the community as in a whole, right? So, and which kind of leads me to my next part. So there's only two things that can get a condo denied for VA approval. One is the right of first refusal or the right of first option. And the second is any type of leasing restrictions, except for no Airbnb allowed and a minimum 1-year lease. And the right of first refusal, you can probably speak to a little bit more than me.
That is correct. This is old archaic law here in Chicago because we're so union heavy here. Size boards have to provide an on-site engineer with either housing in the association building or a rent roll so they can live somewhere nearby. So the idea was any unit owner selling in the property first have to present their offer to the board. The board can then say yes or no, and they're buying it on the exact same terms as any person who presented that offer in the public.
Because those are the only two things the VA looks at, it leaves you open to other things like special assessments, not knowing your budget, the property not being managed correctly.
So the good thing about a condominium building, even though it's a piece of property, it really is a living, breathing organism. The only requirement for being a board member in an association is being a unit owner. You do not need to live there. You just need to be a unit owner in the building. And as the dichotomy of the ownership changes, so too do the board members change. So what the board used to do 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago may not be what the board's doing currently or will do in the future. So if a prior board didn't keep sufficient budget, chose to be self-managed by themselves, as opposed to engaging a professional management company, you as a unit owner then can surely run for the board if you're interested to have a little bit more control and involvement in your property to then say, I don't like how this was handled as a buyer. I didn't like going through this. I don't want future buyers to go through this. Let's change how we're acting here. Let's change our process. That way, future people really do want to buy here in the building. It's easier for them. We can take these changes out of the declaration and bylaws you had mentioned, and then that then leads to more offers, which then leads to more comparable sales, which helps everyone out in the long term of their property.
Of course. And that's one thing to know. 20% of buyers are veterans. So you open that pool up. And on top of that, the VA condo approval, again, once you do it, it's done. You have it for life. We do it for free. On every transaction that we've been on, we're not charging the $1,500, $2,000. We're doing that for free. Well, Paul, I want to thank you for coming on, jumping on together on this, just helping, talking to the community and just letting them know, hey, here's some of the benefits of what we do, how you can leverage us. And we'll throw all our contact information in the description. And then if you guys have any questions, just please reach out to either one of us. Paul, any closing comments?
No, Dave, it's been great working with you, and thanks for your time today. Certainly thanking all the veterans for their contribution and their service. We appreciate your efforts and dedication. Any questions, feel free to follow up with us. We're familiar both as the legal side as well as the realtors and the transactions. That's something that's unique. It's something we provide to our clients, looking at things from two different perspectives because we have both backgrounds, and that's a value add that you're really going to find in today's realtor market pool here in Chicago.
100%. Well, thank you, Paul. You have a great rest of your day. And then again, if you guys have questions, please reach out to us. You have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.